Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of the State of Real Estate with Bayut. This is a special episode where we will be highlighting our Q1 market report and the trends that we've seen in the Dubai real estate market. And we will be highlighting the key areas or the most popular areas with regards to searches and also traffic. In the first quarter of 2021, Dubai alone has seen 6,328 transactions in the residential section, amounting up to 8.9 billion dirhams. And this is a testimony to a market which is going strong, where people have a keen interest and they have a lot of confidence in the market and in the real estate. Due to high demand and interest in the market, the top luxury areas, Dubai Marina tops the list with the most interest, where prices have gone up by 5.6% per square feet. The same increase in demand of areas like Business Bay, Palm Jumeirah, downtown has led to an increase of 5% to all the way up to 8 to 9% increase in price per square feet. In Villa communities, we have noticed that the well-established community of Arabian ranches has seen a tremendous interest from end users and families who are looking to upscale their living condition, and that increase in demand has led to about 9.7% increase in the price per square feet. We have seen that the trend has been mostly in favor of secondary market, where 64% of the deals were done in the residential area. In the secondary market, people want to buy their first home. End of 2020, 2021 itself has been a year where people have been venturing into buying their home and making Dubai a home away from home. And this trend seems to be continuous and in line with all the initiatives taken by the government here, and also the way the COVID situation was managed here. It has given people a lot of confidence to kind of build their permanent abode here. So all the key highlights that I've just mentioned here, I would advise you log on to our blog at bayut.com to stay tuned with all the market trends and our deep analysis of the Q1 search results on Bayut and Dubai. After the release of the report, we wanted to bring our winners of the Bayut and Dubai Stronger Together 2020 awards here and get their expert opinion on how they have seen the market operate within their own business, as well as the real estate landscape here. Very happy to have Simon Baker from House & House, who was the winner of top agency Bayut and Dubai Stronger Together 2020 awards in the large category, and Aaron Lomax from Trio Homes, who was the winner of Agency of the Year Bayut and Dubai Stronger Together 2020 award in the SME category. Happy to have them join this session today so that they can share their thoughts on how the market is operating and what trends have they seen in their business and what do they see moving forward. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Simon and Aaron. Welcome to the show today. How are we?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Aaron, how are you?
Very good, thank you very much.
Brilliant. So, guys, everybody's been buzzing about how quickly the real estate market has bounced back and actually booming these days. How is it going for you guys?
It's been very good, yeah. It's been a crazy last year, really, coming out of lockdown in end of April, beginning of May, I think it was. And we were pleasantly surprised how quickly everything started to get back to normal in terms of from a sales perspective, and it sort of increased from there, really.
Mm-hmm. I think this year not only was great for you activity-wise, but also winning the award for Bayut and Dubai Stronger.
Well, that's it. It was a huge honour to win that award as the best brokerage, and it's really nice to be recognised as, for all the hard work we've done. Obviously, the market's got a lot better, but as a company, we've progressed a lot and we've grown a lot. I think we've grown about 50 or 60% in terms of a number of brokers. So we've come on a long way, really.
That is wonderful, and we're very happy when our partners are successful like that. Aaron, tell me your story. I remember you and I chatted during lockdown last year, And those were crazy times, but I think you guys did pretty well coming out of it and stronger than before.
It was a crazy time. I think it was a perfect real estate storm really last year. We went through it all really. Everyone, including ourselves personally, we were stuck in our homes, naturally turns to the real estate that you're living in and you're operating in, you're working from. So I feel like there was a lot of talk of real estate and the home that you particularly lived in, and then coming out of lockdown, everyone was over-analysing where they were staying, and I think that created a bit of a buzz both in the rental market and the sales market, and it just kind of flew on from there really.
Yeah. One of the interesting trends that I observed in the market last year when we came out of lockdown was that the initial activity was kind of speculated to be a pent-up demand, and people thought that probably it's going to be slower, but I think this year has been phenomenally well and successful. I see all the agencies are making big money and everybody is either looking to buy or move to a bigger house. How did that trend evolve for you? Was it like just take off right after lockdown, or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think sentiment drives a lot of the real estate in this town. It always has done, from crazy prices in 2008 and then a sharp drop in 2009. And again, quite a quick increase in 13, 14. And from there, the market steadily declined. And I think then there was quite a negative sentiment around real estate. 6 years of declines in any market is enough to start making people think that it's the end of the world, right? And I think COVID initially had a sort of sharp decline as people got really scared, which was in itself probably the catalyst for it coming back quickly, I think. So, and it did then rebound fast, and it rebounded because people, end users, like you said, especially in villa communities, seeking a bit more space, seeking to put down roots, they perhaps realised that Dubai had handled this and the UAE had handled this pandemic maybe better than a lot of places in Europe. So they looked to their home country and suddenly thought, actually, I don't want to move back there. Let's stay here. The prices are low. The mortgage values recently, you could increase slightly up to 80%, and then you can add the fees. So it's become even more affordable. The down payment doesn't look so scary. So people are taking that as an opportunity to buy in a lot of the communities, in villa and townhouse communities that have sprung up over the last few years. It's
interesting, we talk about villa and townhouse communities. You guys do pretty well in Dubai land, which is also known for the townhouse lifestyle, and there are upcoming communities there. What are your plans to your homes this year, this quarter, or the next couple of quarters? Are you going to expand to other areas, or?
Yeah, I mean, well, our business kind of grows with Dubai, so to speak. It's a bit cliche, but it does. As the new handovers come, as the new areas come, we kind of grow with it. We put a team in it. But I think we were kind of at the forefront of the migration out, because we're the entry-level price point for both sales and rentals. So you've got these people that are in the 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms in the marina, the Palm, and when they were stuck there in lockdown, we were the first entry price point that they came into. You're looking at 80, 90,000 at that time. So there was a big migration out into it. And I feel like we were the first communities to really start taking off, because we had the mass migration from the apartments. So I think our rentals started taking off, and then the sales sort of naturally followed suit. Well, yeah, in terms of our growth plans, the handovers have been slightly delayed due to COVID over the last sort of 9 months. They are coming again in the next 6 months, so we've had to kind of diversify out a little bit into the more core communities. But they've been equally as powerful and as equally as lucrative for us in the last sort of 6 months. So our plan is to diversify a little bit more into the core areas, but as and when the handovers come, we'll be there ready for them.
I have a question for both of you, and I'm going to start with you, Aaron. If you were to invest personally at this point in time, given the current market situation and the ROIs that we see, where would you invest your own money?
So I think there's two. I've got a big passion for sort of adding value to a property, the renovation side of it. I've done it out here myself. I've done it at home a few times before. So there's two things that I would do. I'd either take advantage of the post-handover payment plan on a ready property. So the return on cash invested is fantastic. Something along the lines of Al-Andalus, Jumeirah Golf Estate, 6 years post, 10% move in. That's a fantastic return on physical cash invested. But my passion would be straight up 4E in the Springs, 1.7, renovate it, rent it for a year, sell it on, 25% done. That would be my passion, because you can put a personal touch to it. So they'd be my two hottest investments right now.
Brilliant. What about you, Simon?
There's a whole plethora of different options, isn't there, really? I think as Aaron said, there's good options with renovating villas, buying villas. The big advantage there is the service charge is a lot more reasonable, especially on townhouses, because it's on the plot size. Plot isn't too huge, so the service charge in comparison with an apartment is much cheaper. The other area that we've really looked at is the off-plan team have looked a lot at places like Emaar Beachfront, which have increased. I mean, Emaar have sold the majority of what they sold in the first quarter was in there. and the prices have increased something about 35%, which is one of the few apartment locations where the prices have increased as much as the villa communities.
Yes.
So that's the other area that I think if you're going to go for an apartment, it needs to be really prime, it needs to be beachfront,
Sea
luxury
facing.
properties. There's a few, we pick a few selected developments, if you like, and work on those. There are a lot of apartment buildings that don't stand out and they're not that exciting, but there's a few that really are, and Emo Beachfront has been for us one of those locations. So.
How is the trend of the short-term rentals coming along? Because you also do house and house holiday homes.
We do, yeah. So I think COVID brought a slight change to that in that it actually became more monthly rentals. So we were almost thinking we shouldn't call it holidays, we should call it monthly rentals. A lot of people discovered how many people in an uncertain world prefer to rent monthly rather than yearly. They can come, they can take a furnished place. We've got credit card facilities, they can pay over the phone, someone can meet them in the, even if it's in the middle of the night, to give them the keys. That's part of the service we offer with that. It's been very, very busy. Currently, the last 6 months we've been 100% occupancy. We've got no empty properties at all, which is a bit awkward when we get lots more leads from Bayut and the Bizzle that we can't home them, if you like. But yeah, it's been very good. Landlords, the main attractive thing from the landlord's perspective is they're getting something like 10 to 20% of a better return than they would long term.
That's very interesting. Any plans on moving to short-term rentals?
No.
No?
There's a lot of staff that's involved in it and whatnot. It's not really our bag. I'll leave that to Simon. He can
You're going to focus on the villa communities, the buy land, and you're going to be doing more off-plan. What plans do you have?
So we want to move into the off-plan space a little bit, slightly different to what other people do. We do off-plan in other countries, for instance. We want to move into the luxury segment a little bit as well. So that would be our main focuses in sort of change of what we're looking to do.
Based on the trends that we've seen in our market report, and you all can go and log on to our blog on bayut.com and check out the Q1 market report, which we do periodically. We do quarterly reports, and here you can see Bayut and the Bizzle trends. And you would also be able to see half-yearly and then, of course, a yearly annual report. It's very interesting that luxury communities and luxury properties have actually picked up in terms of price, in terms of interest, and I think it goes back to the fact, which kind of is paradoxical, thinking that COVID is hit and probably the world thought they all are going to go into recession. Some people were hit bad. Some countries are faced with challenges, but how do you think Dubai has managed to kind of just be the opposite and have more interest and more movement in the luxury segment? How did that work?
I think interestingly with the luxury property market out here, I think there's actually been an undersupply of luxury property. Obviously the way the market was, the developers weren't necessarily looking to do that. They were looking to capitalise on the more affordable sector and the smaller townhouses, stuff like that. So I think over a period of time, naturally there's been a severe undersupply in the luxury segment. And I feel like naturally just by undersupply, when the market starts moving again, there's just nothing there available for them. And that kind of filters down to the independent villas as well. There's been no new independent villa launches, and there's people that are moving up the ladder from townhouses to independent villas, to the Springs to the Meadows, Al Reem to Mirador, stuff like this. And at the independent villa, there's just nothing, there's no new launches going on, there's very limited supply. So that's why the sort of middle of the market, all the way up to the luxury market, is just severely undersupplied.
Okay, so that's driving the price up.
Correct.
But we also see a lot of keen interest when it comes to searches. I think people really want to upscale. They've realized they're going to be spending more time in their houses rather than taking vacation or going out. So they tend to kind of upscale their living area. Interesting thing that I was reading was that the ranches itself, and you guys specialize in the ranches, has seen a tremendous increase, and the rental value of some of the types like Palmera and Alvarado has seen 35% increase in their rental price. How do you see that panning out in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron touched on the fact that there has been a shortage of supply over the last few years. As the market's been tougher, developers concentrate on selling really, really small units, small gardens, and suddenly with the pandemic, not only do people want a garden, but if they've got a bit more budget, they probably want a bigger garden and a swimming pool potentially, and have a bit more space and an office at home, and the list goes on, and suddenly you need 5 bedrooms. So, I mean, Arabian Ranches, I'm a bit biased having lived there for the last 6 years, but it is a very popular, established community. I think what EMA have done well is the community management of these communities is very, very good. So it doesn't matter if the community's older and the property might need a bit of renovation. the fact is that the community is nice. You've got a golf club, you've got some shops to go to. It's all green, and there's security's good, and all these community management aspects that are very well looked after, which makes it a popular place for people to buy. And then more recently to rent. So the rentals have increased significantly as well. And it's hard
I
to
think
find.
Ramches itself is a complete package. I myself have lived in that area, and I think I'm very fond of that area and everything that's building onto the new side of Dubai for townhouses and villas. Tell me, I'll start with you, Aaron. How do you think the real estate market is going to shape up? Or geographically, Dubai itself is going to expand more towards the Expo Center, building up to the Expo, or how does that work?
Naturally, I think obviously Dubai is going to grow out there. They've obviously been building a lot of infrastructure around the Expo site specifically. But in terms of the Expo affecting the market, I mean, the market's already on a great trajectory. And as you said, sentiment drives this market. And there is no way that an Expo of this magnitude cannot drive sentiment even further. But I think the biggest impact it will have is probably on the off-plan market. I think the people that are coming in and over for Expo won't necessarily be living here. Obviously, people living here will be visiting also. But the idea of the Expo is to bring in international, external investors, and they're more tailored towards the off-plan market. So I think, although the secondary market right now is booming, primary is, but not as much. I think the Expo could be the crux that really kicks off the off-plan market again. I think developers, if they have specific products and offers tailored towards people coming over for the Expo, that could be a boom in the off-plan market yet again.
Do you expect the same trend that the off-plan is going to pick up?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think off-plan already is, to be honest with you. And we've sold a lot, probably 3 or 4 times as much off-plan in the first 3 months of this year as we did in the whole of last year.
That's interesting.
Last year was obviously tough and people were buying all the ready properties that were on the market. I think the interesting thing about a lot of reports as well is a lot of reports that take land department data on transactions that are always intrinsically sort of 2 or 3 months behind. I've seen a few articles and papers which have been well commented on online from different brokers, saying that the report claims that the market has gone down in the last quarter of last year, which is understandable because actually when you look at the real data, if you look at the transactional data, which is based on the transfer, as opposed to the date that us agents sign a contract,
deal, yes.
It might sometimes take 2.5 or 3 months because of COVID, things have been a bit delayed. So the deal that we signed today, and we know that we've just agreed a villa that's gone up in 20% in price, doesn't show up as a transaction maybe until January or February. So actually, if you really want to know what's going on in the market, you ask, someone on the coalface, as it were, and which is quite interesting. So that's why you get this slight conflict between when the market's moving so fast. If it was moving a bit slower, it wouldn't be as much of an issue. But what will be interesting is in another 3 months, then the reports will suddenly say, the Dubai market's fixed.
Exactly.
And they've always missed it by sort of 3 or 4
3
months.
months gap there is.
Which is quite an interesting one. But
with a lot of interesting and very many announcements that we've seen from the government about the visa laws, about citizenship, do you think there's a correlation in the increase in interest and searches? Because for ourselves, I'll talk about Bayut and the Bizzle stats. We generated about 3.8 million leads in the last 3 months. Out of that, 2.7 million leads were for Dubai alone.
wow. Huge numbers.
Yes, through 25.78 million sessions. So do you think that was instigated by a lot of interest where people wanted to see, okay, probably this is a shortcut to get a citizenship?
So yeah, when it comes, as I mentioned, when it comes to population growth, the population here in Dubai, has tripled in the last 10, 11 years. And what's exciting is the plan that the government have come out with for 2040 it's so amazing to see them have the foresight to see 20 years in the future. I touched on the fact that most governments who've been elected only care about the next 4 years and they care about re-election possibly, but not necessarily the country's growth. And I think that's what sets the UAE apart really, the visionary leadership to be able to think of these amazing projects. And they do take 10 or 15 years sometimes, but definitely on the right track for success really as a country.
Great. What are your thoughts on the 2040 plan?
I think it's great. I think a lot of it was developed around urbanisation and sort of the green spaces and stuff like that, which I think is the crux to a lot of the communities, the actual livable communities. A lot of people really love that green space, the amenities to do so. I think it's great, and I'll just echo what you said there. The 4-year policy of government terms in a lot of other countries isn't sufficient, I don't think, for long-term growth and long-term vision. So I think it's fantastic that they come up with stuff like this for such future plans.
Depending on the level of activity, interest in Dubai market, in your opinion, Simon, we've seen that there has been some very exceptional ROIs in areas like your marina, and then ranches also has a great ROI, return on investment. What is your take on this? Is it going to be the same trend, or how do you see it shaping up in the future?
I mean, traditionally, Dubai has always offered high rental returns on properties here. As the market establishes more, the more established communities will settle into around 5% net, which is what we see in most communities. So typically, if you're getting 8 or 9%, it's usually in an area where the property's a bit cheaper. It could be great from a rental perspective, but you might need to consider like how much would that property potentially appreciate capital-wise in the long run. So I think it's always a great number to look at, but I would also consider what's potential for capital growth and takes somewhere sort of middle ground which can offer a bit of both really.
Do you see off-plan or luxury off-plan kind of gaining a lot of momentum in the future? Because we've seen some interest in Emaar Beachfront, which has actually been top of the searches in the last 3 months with regards to luxury apartments. Any other projects, any other apartments?
There's one or two select ones. Literally one from Select Group in the Marina, which we've sold a lot for in the last 4 months, which is Jumeirah Living Marina Gate, and the fact that it's managed by Jumeirah Group has made it very, very attractive to end users and investors alike. That's a perfect example. Investors are getting almost exactly 5% net returns, which on a European level is very, very acceptable and is a lot better than you'd expect in most capital cities. And they also feel that it's such a high quality product that it will hopefully appreciate in value
as well. So all boxes ticked, ROI, capital growth and luxury.
And Emaar Beachfront being the same, you know, people see it as it's the Palm's always had 1 or 2 issues in the past. This is the first literally beachfront property from Emaar where you've got beach access, sea views, and that's what's made it so popular.
I think the interest and the popularity that Emaar Beachfront project is gaining is actually quite rightly attributed. Location is great, and of course the developer's name is going to carry it forward really well. What is your take, Aaron? Where do you see the future shaping up to with regards to ROI? Where would it lie the most, and which projects are you excited about?
I mean, obviously, on the periphery of the city, so the smaller townhouses, they offer great ROIs. You know, you can get net 6-7% in some cases, and there's some great new projects coming up there. You've got Cherrywoods, Villanova, Camellia. Some of these have got a mixture of both independent villas as well as townhouses, which is a good little dynamic mix of the community rather than it just being just townhouses, just independent villas. So I feel like there's some good opportunities over there for both investors and end users to come in at an affordable price point. So in these communities, there really is a really good mix of investors and end users in the community.
With regards to capital growth and, you know, kind of maintaining the value of capital, which communities do you think would always hold value?
So for me, I think the prime core villa communities such as Emirates Living, Green Community, Arabian Ranches, these communities and these master plans are very hard to replicate. You have examples like Dubai Hills, which is kind of similar, but when you look at the percentage of green space in somewhere like Arabian Ranches, that will never be replicated again. The developers want to use the space more to build more villas on, rather than focusing on, because the land's a lot more expensive now than it was when we first built this. So I don't think we'll ever see master communities as good or as green as what somewhere like Arabian Ranches is. So these communities, these core communities, we just won't see again. So I think that these ones, from a value sort of price perspective, will hold value the best.
All the credit goes to the vision of the government here, that they not only just continue to make it more feasible for expats to live here and make a home here, but it contributes towards real estate activity. And then, of course, people tend to have a very positive sentiment towards Dubai, people who live here. And then, of course, the foreign investors who are looking to invest here also solidifies and is translated into all the interest that we've seen here. I'm going to ask the most asked question, your top 3 predictions for the next 6 months, or let's just say towards the rest of the year.
The way the market is at the minute, it's crazy, who knows? I mean, I think it will taper off a little bit, and the reasons for that is that I feel like the townhouse market, which is the main market we operate in, has had very little handovers. since the end of COVID, pretty much, since the end of lockdown, sorry. And in the next 6 months, we've got a good few thousand units coming into the market, which I think it needs right now. I don't think it's good for it to continue going as aggressively as it is. So I feel like the growth will taper off slightly, but I'd like to go back to a steady couple of percent a month increase would be fine. So I feel like the next 6 months it'll slow a little bit. As that sort of eats in, I think we'll see more independent villa launches in the next 6 months. I think like the developers really will go down that route. And then obviously coming into Expo, I think the off-plan market will really start booming again. So there's my predictions for the coming rest of the year.
Okay. More interest in off-plan. You mentioned that you guys have an off-plan team and you have done more off-plan in the first 3 months of this year. Where do you see the off-plan market?
I think it's interesting that once a lot of our villa communities, especially we operate in, are seeing a lack of supply, and sometimes end users are being frustrated that they might have missed out on 1 or 2 deals, and they actually sometimes become more inclined to buy in one of the upcoming launches maybe, and then wait and take a brand new property. I think a lot of the time when they sit back and realise that actually they've lived in Dubai 10 years, they've been renting that time, then why not wait another 2 or 3 years to be able to buy your brand new home to move into? So that's a kind of one angle from our perspective. But in terms of international investment, it's very interesting how many people we've got coming from Europe, even from America. There seems to be a lot of interest from Americans that there probably wasn't in the past.
Is that a new trend, like you mentioned?
Seems to be from our perspective. It's obviously difficult, isn't it? And it's sort of micro part of the market to say whether that's to say for sure whether that is a new trend. But it definitely seems to be more Americans exploring the world, if you like. A lot from Europe for obvious reasons. Still the same reasons that existed before, which were tax and all, weather and all the rest of it, are still just as attractive in Dubai. But then the fact that Dubai has handled the pandemic so much better than so many countries in Europe, it still means that we're very fortunate we can still go and have a nice dinner and, okay, maybe some of the party places aren't still as open as they once were, but it's almost as good, which is a lot better than some places.
Great. Tell me, what are the plans to win the award next year? What have you put into place to make sure that you take the Bayut and the Basel Stronger Together 2021 award?
Well, we've sort of grew quite aggressively, and we plan to continue to do so this year. We've recently taken a new office. We've employed some more management. We've diversified the company in a few different ways. We're still open up in the UK as well, which will have to sell Dubai real estate. So excellent. I feel like we've got huge growth plans, and hopefully we keep doing what we're doing and we'll win it again.
All the very best. And what's on the agenda for House and House?
Yeah,
or you're not going to share the secrets?
Things bubbling, but I mean, COVID made us sort of reanalyze and reassign our targets a bit, and I think we actually increased them by about 50 or 60%, so quite a big increase. After seeing that actually we were going to hit our target that was a few years down the road a lot sooner, which is exciting. So there's a few little plans underway to look at expanding some of the existing teams.
Excellent.
So that's
excellent. We're looking forward to the awards next year. We're looking forward to a very busy and a very active year. And stay tuned for all the latest updates. And thank you very much, Aaron and Simon. And we'll chat soon again. Thank you. Cheers. The thoughts and feedback of Simon Baker from House and House and Aaron Lomax from Trio Homes, who joined us today to highlight what they've seen as key trends in Q1 of 2021, post-COVID lockdown in Dubai, and what are their predictions for the rest of the year. Stay tuned to our blog, to our market reports, and to our webinars and podcasts for more information on the trends and the highlights of the real estate. Thank you very much.